In the 90s, a movie was released into the world. We all came to love this tale, not because it was the rave and talk of the town, but because it provided us comfort and laughter. The movie was George of the Jungle, a story that follows a man who grew up among animals, that is, was raised in the jungle by animals, and thus began to act like an animal himself. We told ourselves that this scenario can never occur in real life. There seems to be no way in hell it could. Happy, we thought. But what if we told you it had happened 40 years before that time? This is the story of Marina Chapman, a woman born in Colombia, and how she became a member of the animal kingdom, quite literally. In the early 1950s, Marina lived a normal life with her parents. At the time, Marina was 5. One day, while she was in the garden playing with pea pods, a truck suddenly came to a halt, and out came masked men. The masked men, kidnappers, took Marina and other neighborhood kids that were on the street at the time. So that the children wouldn't be able to scream, and also to avoid calling the attention of parents, the kidnappers employed the use of chloroform rags, which they placed over the children's mouth, quickly shutting them up. The children were then bundled into the truck, then the truck drove off. The loss of a child is one of the most terrible things a parent can go through. The parents of the kidnapped kid all felt the same grief when it was found out that their children had been kidnapped. They desperately hoped that the police would find their children, but little did they know that the kidnappers had taken their children into the Colombian jungle. When Marina came to the jungle, she was on shoulders of the kidnappers being carried through a very thick jungle, whilst constantly being slapped with leaves. But then a man in the group shouted. Everyone began to run, and the man carrying Marina dumped her on the ground. And before she knew it, she was all by herself in the middle of nowhere. Exhausted, confused, and hungry, the 5-year-old girl found a tree to curl up against and fell asleep. Peace. Finally. When she woke up the following morning, there were monkeys all around her, watching her with curious eyes. Out of curiosity, they poked and prodded at her, and when they were unable to figure out the puzzle, they left, and Marina was all alone once again. No one came to find her, and the monkeys weren't paying her any attention. But she was hungry, so hungry that eventually she started to observe the ways of the monkeys and followed them around. Out of the extreme hunger, she picked a sticky fruit. Thinking it was okay, she ate, and it actually tasted good. Until it didn't. Not long after, she was engulfed with extreme pain in her stomach. Seeing the little girl in pain, an old monkey came by, picked her up, and brought her to a nearby watering hole, to which she drank out of it. After drinking out of it, she threw up what she had eaten and instantly became better. Hello, Rafiki. After this act of kindness by the old monkey, Marina grew to trust the monkeys and love them, and even called the old one Grandpa. For 5 years, she stayed with them, becoming Georgia of the jungle. She climbed trees like a pro, could look after herself in the jungle, and even communicated with them by mimicking the noises they made. And then one day, Marina came upon a group of hunters. For 5 years, she never saw another human. Because of that very fact, Marina went up to the hunters, not knowing they were despicable human beings. For when they took her to the nearby town, they sold her to a local brothel owner. There, she was forced to clean and was beaten until one day she ran away and started to live on the streets. It was during this time that she was integrated back to society and learned to communicate in the human language again. Eventually, she got a job as a domestic servant and was sooner adopted by a family in Bradford, England. In England, she met her future, a scientist named John Chapman, who she, you guess, married. Her life afterward was normal once again, but she never saw her birth parents again, or the monkeys that showed her love, and the other kids that were kidnapped were never heard from.